The Unheard Signals. A story from the Mayo Clinic. This is a story you wouldn't typically hear at the Mayo Clinic. This place, like most medical centers, operates with the cold logic of black and white images, precise numbers, and irrefutable data. But the signals that mark the boundary between life and death aren't always so clear or reasonable. They're often hidden in the mundane, the everyday. Even someone like me, who has dedicated his entire life to studying a single organ, often dismisses them. It's like background noise. We ignore the subtle cues that can drastically alter a person's life and the lives of those left behind. I had to. The story. Learn this the hardest way possible. Hello, I'm Dr. William Bill Smith, an 87-year-old former professor of internal medicine. I spent over 50 years at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, specializing in digestive system diseases, particularly the early detection and treatment of pancreatic cancer. At countless national and international conferences, I passionately championed the importance of early detection. I always urged my patients with the same conviction I felt for myself, no more conviction, to listen attentively to the subtle changes in their bodies. I firmly believed that this was the most important wisdom modern medicine could offer to save lives. But the woman who was my most precious companion, my shadow, my pillar of strength, my wife, was sending out faint, desperate signals right beside me, and I failed to notice them. Blinded by the pride of a specialist and the pressures of a demanding career, I didn't hear the quiet cries coming from the person closest to me. Have you ever dismissed a seemingly insignificant comment from a loved one, attributing it to age, mood, or simply a naturally sensitive disposition? Today, I want to share the story of my life's greatest regret, the unbearable guilt I carry. My wife sent out 5 critical signals, and I hope this story can reach at least one person and prevent them from making the same irreversible mistake. That's my fervent wish. My wife Sarah cherished her health even more than I did. She started each day with a brisk walk through Central Park, breathing in the crisp morning air. She delighted in tending her small herb garden on our apartment balcony, bringing fresh basil and rosemary to the table. When I returned late from the research lab, she always had a warm bowl of chicken noodle soup waiting for me. A doctor who doesn't take care of himself, who will believe a word you say? That sharp nagging was in reality my greatest comfort. Because she was that kind of person, I never questioned Sarah's health. I was convinced she would outlive me, healthy and strong. Then one autumn, the year the leaves turned an exceptionally vibrant gold, Sarah started complaining of a complete lack of appetite. She found the aroma of her beloved pot roast, which was the most amazing pot roast in the world, nauseating. And when she broke into a sweat, the odor seemed different, more acrid. She was unusually sensitive. I dismissed it all as menopause, that convenient catch-all and irresponsible excuse. The critical signal. Honey, you're just being overly sensitive. I'd say, it's just age. Listening to her doctor husband, I not only failed to alleviate her anxiety, but also unintentionally hurt her with my careless words. The critical signal came one night before bed. Sarah turned her back to me and said quietly, Bill, something feels strange right below my breastbone. It feels like my cell phone is vibrating, a faint tremor. It's not enough to keep me awake, but it's a really weird feeling. I still thoughtlessly chalked it up to stress-induced indigestion. I just mechanically patted her back. As a pancreatic specialist, I foolishly ignored the most classic signal coming from the very location of the pancreas. A few days later, Sarah collapsed in the living room while knitting on the couch, writhing in abdominal pain. Only then did the gravity of the situation hit me. As I rushed her to the hospital, clutching her cold hand, my heart sank. Seeing the grave expression on my former student's face, hearing the words, stage Y for pancreatic cancer, the world went silent. Time turned gray and stood still. I had spent my life dealing with the lives of patients, but in the face of my loved one suffering, I was powerless, just a helpless, foolish husband. After Sarah's passing, I spent years drowning in self-reproach and depression. My office filled with the latest medical books and decades of research papers felt like a pile of trash, mocking evidence of my incompetence. far more important and urgent than the complex medical terminology and cold data was. That throwaway line of Sarah's, the sweat smells different. I understood it too late after everything was over. From that point on, I decided to use my knowledge in a completely different way. I started focusing on the feelings and sensations patients experienced in their daily lives long before any scans or blood tests. Even after retirement, I consulted with patients, carefully recording every casually dropped comment like a detective gathering clues. Surprisingly, many people with pancreatic issues had similar early warning signs. The 5 signals I'm about to share beyond my wife's story are cries for help directly from countless patients. Signals that are far too often missed. To fully understand the meaning of this story, please listen attentively to the end. Have you ever unintentionally ignored a subtle signal your body was sending you? The 5 early warning signs from your pancreas. 1. Ice cold hands and feet with a ice cold hands, feet with a flushed face. Flushed face. Many dismiss this as a circulatory problem or, in women, a symptom of menopause, but it can be a warning of a deeper, more serious imbalance. This is a sign that the body's automatic temperature regulation system, the autonomic nervous system, is in disarray. When inflammation or a tumor develops in the pancreas, the body goes into emergency mode to suppress this rebellious element. This disrupts the balanced harmony between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, causing vasoconstriction and vasodilation issues. As a result, the blood supply to the extremities, hands and feet, the most remote regions from the cap, gets blocked, making them ice cold. Conversely, the capital face or upper body receives an excessive and unnecessary concentration of heat, leading to unexplained hot flashes. My wife was like this. Even on warm summer nights, she felt cold and needed socks. I casually attributed it to her age. At the same time, her face was always flushed and she constantly found herself complaining of feeling hot. The contrary symptoms originate from the same underlying warning. If this is not temporary, and if it recurs between 1000 p.m. and 2 a.m., a time when the body needs to heal and reorganize, you need to observe it more carefully. A regular thermometer cannot easily measure this subtle imbalance. It is essential to trust your own sensations or those of your family. A subtle vibration below the breastbone. 2. A subtle vibration below the breastbone. This may sound unusual, but it's a very characteristic sensation that many early stage patients have described to me. Many describe it as feeling like a cell phone on vibrate inside their abdomen. This symptom can occur when a swollen pancreas slightly presses against the abdominal aorta, the largest highway in our body. The pancreas sits deep within our body, close to the back. If a problem arises, even a slight increase in size can compress the various organs and blood vessels in front of it. The regular pulsation or blood flow felt at this time can feel like a subtle vibration or buzzing sensation from the outside. This symptom is more noticeable on an empty stomach, especially upon waking in the morning or lying in bed on a quiet night. If you feel such a vibration, try holding your breath temporarily, placing your hand quietly on the area, and concentrating. If you feel something regular like a heartbeat as opposed to a temporary muscle spasm, do not ignore it. A bus driver once told me, "Doctor, as a lifelong driver, I know what it feels like when the engine is slightly shaking." He expressed it very accurately. It is important to understand that if an unprecedented feeling recurs and a new sensation suddenly starts today and continues for a few days, it is a bodily signal that cannot be ignored. A lifelong favorite food suddenly becomes repulsive. 3. A lifelong favorite food suddenly becomes repulsive. Taste changes are common with age, and it's easy to brush them off. But a sudden extreme aversion to specific flavors, especially those you've always loved, is a different level of warning. The pancreas secretes core digestive enzymes that break down the food we eat, particularly fats and proteins. If pancreatic function declines by as little as 10%, the secretion of these digestive enzymes becomes problematic. Our bodies are honest. They instinctively initiate an emergency brake, avoiding foods they can't process. This is reflected in changes in the sense of smell. This is why the Aromas of fatty foods or protein. Rich meats and fish become acutely sensitive. My wife had loved pot roast all her life, and the fragrant smell would make her want a bowl of rice. But one day she frowned while I was cooking pot roast and said, "Honey, I'm sorry. Can you open a window? That smell seems stuck in my throat." I just thought she had become picky, but her body was desperately signaling that it could no longer break down fats and proteins. If you have recently found that the smell of pot roast grilled fish or even fragrant sesame oil is sickening, simply record when and what kind of smell you started to dislike. It may not be a change in preference, but a signal for survival. 4. Sweat smells, sweet and sour. Sweat smells sweet and sour. It's hard to notice on yourself, but family members often detect it. This is a fast, crucial warning. We become insensitive to our body odors. The pancreas secretes insulin to regulate blood sugar. If the pancreas has problems, the pancreas's insulin secretion is disrupted and blood sugar regulation fails. To get energy, our body starts to break down fat rather than glucose. Just as a car uses emergency diesel when the gas runs out. This process produces a large amount of incomplete combustion material called ketones. Some of these ketones are excreted through sweat or breath, emitting a sweet and sour smell like rotting fruit. Frankly, I was the last to notice Sarah's body odor change. Even though I am a physician, I was accustomed to the change since we lived together every day. One day, my daughter visited our house and said, "Mom, did you spill vinegar in the room? Why does it smell sour?" My wife simply denied the claim, but that was a crucial warning. If a family member tells you your sweat or breath has changed, don't be upset or ignore it. Instead, ask specifically how it is different. Listen more carefully to those changes than you ever have, because this smell change may be the most sensitive, fastest evidence that the blood is changing. 5. Knees stiffen in the morning. Many wonder what the pancreas has to do with the knees, but our bodies never act separately. Like an orchestra, all the organs are connected. If a fire such as inflammation spreads from the pancreas, the inflammatory cytokines travel through the blood to the whole body. If these sparks reach the joints, they can stimulate the synovium around the joints, triggering inflammation, pain, and stiffness. This is also called pancreatic arthritis. Every morning, my wife would make an ouch sound as she got out of bed, massaging her knees. Her knees were stiff, especially when going downstairs, and she was anxious without a handrail. I simply assumed it was age-related osteoarthritis and suggested painkillers. But this was a distress signal from the pancreas. I never dreamed that normal osteoarthritis usually starts on one side, like a squeaky worn-out hinge on a 70-year-old door. However, arthritic symptoms caused by pancreatic problems are the result of rust simultaneously spreading to the hinges on both sides of the door. Symmetricity is the core difference. If unexplained joint pain persists, wisdom suggests that you should consult with an internist as well as an orthopedic surgeon. Conclusion: if only I had listened more closely to you then. I think every day and night. I have so many regrets. All my life I have accumulated medical knowledge, but I was deaf and blind to the quiet cries of the person I loved most. No amount of expertise can turn back time, not even a day. Please remember these 5 warning signs: the contrasting temperatures of the hands, feet, and face, the strange vibration below the breastbone, the sudden aversion to previously loved foods, the family members' changing body odor, and the morning knee stiffness. If 2 or more of these have been recurring recently, don't hesitate. Don't say it's just age or fatigue. Go see a trusted specialist today, even if just for a consultation. And to the children watching this, I want to say something to you. Your parents are often the silent generation. They endure as much as possible and say, "It's okay." Your role is not just to listen to your parents. Observe and feel. First, ask them how their appetite has been lately and if they've been sleeping well. That simple, caring question could be the first step in saving your parents' lives. The pancreas is known as the silent organ. But through my story, we know that it is never completely silent. It clearly sends out desperate SOS signals through other parts of our body using quiet, faint language. Hearing that signal first and realizing its meaning can completely change a person's life and the fate of a family. If my story has touched your heart in any way, please subscribe to the channel and click like. Hi, your small concern and support will help me share my experiences and wisdom with more people and reduce the number of people who regret as much as I do, even if it is only one. If you start now, next year at this time, you will surely be welcoming a new season with a different health and peace than you have today. Tonight, how about listening a little more carefully to the sounds your body is making and to the small words of your loved ones? Next time, we'll talk about the everyday foods and habits that can help manage these danger signals, protect the pancreas, and help it recover. Take care.